And welcome everybody to this CPL opening edition of Tobs Talk. I'm your host, Jake Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in. Now, the Tobs faced off against the Fuquay-Varina Twins in their home opener, an exhibition game that they ended up dropping 8-4. Things didn't start off all that well for the Tobs as Tyler Watson took the mound and the flamethrower from Texas had a little bit of a rough first inning. He allowed 2 runs, just one of those was earned, however, and he actually struck out the final 2 batters of the top of the first inning. And then in the top of the second, he ended up mowing down all 3 guys, sending them down in order 1, 2, and 3. Tobs' pitching staff was a little bit shaky, and it was a 4-0 game until the bottom of the 4th inning when Zach Callahan out of USC Lancaster, who will be attending Francis Marion University in the fall, slapped a 1-out single into right field. He then stole second base, and after a Tob was retired, Dalton Knight out of UNC Pembroke came up, and the Brave was able to hook a 3-1 fastball down the right field line to give the Tobs their first run of the game. That made the score 4-1. It was actually 8-1 until the bottom of the 6th inning when Carson Jones led off the inning with a walk. Then Drew Cole walked himself. That put 2 guys on the base pass with nobody out. The Tobs would eventually load the bases with 2 outs for Ben Schmucker. And Schmucker on a 1-2 count was able to rip a single and drive in 2 runs, making the score 8-3. The Tobs would not score any more runs in that inning, but then in the bottom of the 7th inning, after Brian Stafford retired the side in order in the top of the 7th, including 2 strikeouts, Andrew Lamura led off the inning with an opposite field double into the left center field gap. That set the table for Brian Stafford, who had to bat for the Tobs as the Tobs only had 8 position players. Stafford didn't feel like waiting around all that long as he took the first pitch of his at-bat and smoked a single into left field, driving in Lamura from second base. That would make the score 8-4. Drew Cole would then come up, and he had a bounding ball down the first baseline. It was misplayed by C.J. Needham, the first baseman for the Twins, and made its way down the right field line. However, Stafford, who isn't all that used to being on the base pass, did not pick up the third base coach, Rich Billings, and ended up getting caught in a pickle, and that would kill the Tobs rally. The Tobs would threaten a little bit later, but they would not score anymore, and the game would end at 8-4. So after one game, the Tobs record is 0-0. An exhibition game, it doesn't count. What does count, though? The game tonight against the Peninsula Pilots. The game is scheduled for 7 o'clock. Seats open at 6 o'clock. Now, the game against the Twins, 1,784 Tobs fans came through the gates. It was a dual promotion night. We blew up some fireworks after the game, which is always fun. And the first 250 fans through the gates got these seat cushions. Now, if you missed out on the seat cushions, don't worry, because tonight, guess what? We're doing the same promotion again. The first 250 fans through the gates will get these seat cushions presented by Thomas Farris. Now, if you have a little bit of extra padding, natural padding like I do, and maybe you don't want to use the seat cushions under your derriere there, you can do this. They were great as a fan, and on Sunday night's game, it was 82 degrees at first pitch, and it looks like it's going to be another great game here tonight. When we come back, we'll have head coach of the Tobs, Justin Hay, and we'll see exactly how he plans on helping the Tobs hoist their first ever Pettit Cup trophy. All that when we come back here on Tobs Talk on Greenlight Channel 2, presented by Thomas Farris. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake Donnelly. As promised, I have the head coach of the Wilson Tobs with me, Justin Hay. Justin, thank you, as always, for coming with me and showing up here today. Now, the Tobs lost and dropped the home opener, an exhibition game against the Fuquay-Varina Twins. And one of the things that is good about exhibition games is that you play them a little bit differently than you would a normal game. And in this case, we saw a bunch of pitchers, and there were only 8 position players on the roster at the time of the game. What were some of the positive things that you took from the exhibition game against the Twins?
Well, the biggest thing we were looking for is to come together as a team, and I think as the game progressed, we definitely did that. We were a little shaky at the beginning. I think some of the guys had a little nerves, a little anxiousness built up inside, and I think it showed. A couple of our pitchers made mention that they'd never thrown in front of that many people before, so I think they were a little nervous, a little anxious, but as the game progressed, we got better. we played together as a team. The bats came alive. You know, there's a learning curve with these wood bats for these guys. And as the game went on, we started swinging a lot better, and that's what we were looking for. So, I mean, it's really the best thing that we could do for that exhibition game.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the pitchers not playing in front of that many people before. 1,784 fans came through the gates at Fleming Stadium, so a very good showing for an opening night game. Now, how important is it for some of the pitchers who maybe did not have as much playing time this spring and this summer to get action, get live game action that they got on Sunday against the Twins?
Well, it's very important. Getting used to our ballpark in front of our fans, but really getting back into the flow of the game. It's just different. You can throw as many bullpens as you want, but when a batter steps in and something's on the line, it changes. The feel of the pitches is something that you can't replicate in practice. So it was huge to get those guys an inning or two, and I hope that it carries over into this week.
Now, the Tobs were down 8-1 at one point in the game and started a rally in the bottom of the fourth. First run that actually came across the board for the Tobs was Zach Callahan, a nice slap single to right field from the right-handed hitter, and then he actually stole second base. We also saw Doug Teagarden try to drop down a couple of bunts, and one of them I thought was for sure a hit and then just rolled down off the fair line into foul territory. Is that type of speed something that we should expect from the Tobs going forward, during this season?
Oh, definitely. We recruited this team to be fast because we wanted to manufacture runs that way. We felt that we could score more runs utilizing speed and small ball in this league with wood bats, and so I would expect to see a lot of that.
Now, I mentioned earlier in this segment the fact that the Tobs only had 8 position players on the roster for the exhibition game, and there are still guys who are trickling in. We know that there are a couple who are supposed to be in here today, and then obviously later on the week more and more guys will be trickling in. What's the most difficult aspect of that part of the game when you know or maybe don't know who is going to be here on any given day?
I think right now the biggest thing is pitching. Our position players are fresh and they're ready to go, and you know, we don't necessarily need to give them a day off at this point. We haven't been playing for 3 or 4 weeks with them playing a lot of innings, but the pitching aspect of it right now is kind of mind-boggling. Of are we going to have enough pitching to get through the week? We're going to be at full strength by Friday or Saturday. All our pitching will be in, and I think we'll be fine once those guys get in. But this week, trying to figure out, you know, who's going to start, who's going to relieve, how much can they relieve and still come back and maybe start Friday. That's kind of where we're struggling at right now, but we've got 10, 11 coming in today, so I feel like we'll be okay as long as we don't have anybody go out there and struggle and we have to blow through a bullpen one game.
Is it one of those situations where guys are going to be throwing their bullpen sessions maybe in the game?
Yeah, that's a possibility at this point. You know, we might talk to a guy who's scheduled to start Thursday and he might relieve today, or same thing with Friday.
And now going on to the starting pitcher for tonight's game against the Peninsula Pirates, you just told me that Brian Stafford will be on the bump. He was very impressive in 1 inning on Sunday. What did you like and what did you see from him that made him so effective?
Well, he threw strikes. I mean, he came in, pounded the zone, and he had an off-speed pitch that he could throw for strikes. A couple of our guys struggled with the off-speed pitches, and their hitters were able to just sit on fastballs. And so with Bryant being able to come in and throw the fastball and the curveball for strikes, it really made him effective. Plus, he kind of throws across his body, which it's kind of a funky look to hitters, so it makes him really effective. He was a starter for his college team this year, do a lot of innings, so as we move on, we'll expect to see him out of the bullpen, but tonight he's going to get the start on the bump.
Yeah, I actually mentioned during the broadcast that he has that very high leg kick with that front right leg, kind of a little Dontrell Willis aspect. Does he do that good of a job hiding the baseball? Could you see that during the game?
Well, we didn't see it during the game. We saw it the first bullpen session. We were standing right behind the plate, and we have a lot of left-handers, as we talked about last time, and they were having trouble picking up the ball. So I know left-handers for sure definitely have trouble seeing it.
All right, well, thank you for coming here, Justin. Tobs game tonight. Thought about that for a second. Tobs game tonight at 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock against the defending CPL champions, the Peninsula Pirates. Welcome back, everybody, to Tobs Talk. I'm Jake Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in. With me here today is representative for Thomas and Farris Attorneys at Law, Kurt Schmidt. Kurt, thank you for coming in here today. Now, we were talking just a little bit off air. What is your favorite aspect of coming to Tobs games?
Well, love the baseball, family environment, great entertainment. It's good baseball. We enjoy going and watching the quality.
And you have been with Thomas and Farris for quite some time now. Just how long exactly has that been?
This is the 20th year.
And you mentioned also that you had a reason for getting into law that probably most other lawyers might not have.
I want to try to help people.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit of a joke, folks. So we, because of Thomas and Farris, had fireworks night on the opening night against the Fuquay-Varina twins. We also gave out 250 of these seat cushions. Now, if you missed the seat cushions on the first night, we're doing it again. 250 more seat cushions. And I don't know about you, but I was a college catcher, so I actually have a lot of natural padding. And if you feel this right here, when you're on those steel grandstands, that's got to at least feel a little bit better than just the flat. What do you think about the seat cushions,
No
Kurt?
question. I think it'd be a wonderful addition for any fan out there. Come early and get one.
Yeah, and really, a lot of fans came out, 1,784. So what would your piece of advice be to the fans if they want a seat cushion?
Get there early and pick your seat out and support the Tobs.
Yeah. And the Tobs do need the support. It's the CPL opener here tonight at 7:05. Gates open at 6 o'clock. It's against the defending Peninsula Pilots. And actually, the Pilots are coached by Hank Morgan, and it should be a very interesting game. We have the new coach for the Tobs, Justin Hay. He was in here before. And Thomas and Farris, a very good sponsor of the Tobs, had the fireworks, had the seat cushions. Is there anything you're more excited about to come to the game tonight?
Excited to see the additions to Fleming Stadium. It's been there a number of years, an institution of Wilson. We're excited to see what the city of Wilson and the supporters have done to it.
All right. Well, Kurt, thank you for coming in, and we'll be right back with the final segment on Tobs Talk. Welcome back, folks, to Tobs Talk here on Greenlight Channel 2, presented by Thomas and Farris. I'm Jake Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight's game against the Peninsula Pirates will start at 7 o'clock. Gates open at 6 o'clock. And remember, the first 250 fans through the gates receive these seat cushions provided by Thomas and Farris. If you're wondering about why you should come out to the game, Tobs are looking for their first ever CPL championship, and they will be playing against the defending CPL champions, the Peninsula Pilots. Now, the Tobs, they haven't won a Pettit Cup yet, but if you take a look down in the CPL history, you will notice that the last 3 champions in the CPL have all been first-time champions. That's right. Last season, the Peninsula Pilots won it for the first time in their franchise history. The year before that, the Columbia Bluefish won their first ever Pettit Cup. And the year before that, the Gastonia Grizzlies hoisted the Pettit Cup for the first time in their franchise history. So we will see if Justin Hay can complete that task this season for the Tobs. I'd like to thank Justin Hay for coming in, the head coach of the Tobs, as well as Kurt Schmidt from Thomas and Farris. Remember, folks, tonight's game starts at 7 o'clock against the defending CPL champions, the Peninsula Pilots. And also, the first 250 fans receive those great seat cushions. So come on down to Fleming Stadium, and hopefully we'll see you there. This has been another edition of Tobs Talk presented by Thomas and Farris right here on Greenlight Channel 2.